Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. So yesterday, we were waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for all of these JFK files that we were told would be dumped, and they were delayed, but they still did come yesterday. Want to get into some of that, but I want to welcome first to the program, we have Jaco Booyens, Blaze TV contributor, and of course, founder of Jaco Booyens Ministries, along with Jason Buttrill, chief researcher of the Glenn Beck program. Also, he is man who reads things no one else wants to read. And I would like to know what page you're on of these 80,000 or so pages of the JFK files that were dumped.
As of this morning, there was only, I think, 1,300, maybe something like that, of the pages that were
dumped.
Actually, of the documents. So we are way, we have a long ways to go to get to the 80,000.
To get all of them, because it was just a partial. Because you gotta love President Trump. He doesn't sometimes go through the proper channels before he just announces something. So you have to wonder how many people within those departments. Yeah. The day before yesterday, when he made the announcement, we're releasing them tomorrow. They were like, "What? Those aren't. No, we're not ready for that. Why are you telling people that?" So they're like, "Okay, fine. We'll get as many as we can out."
Is it chronologically released?
No.
That's the other thing. I just wanted to mention that.
Yes.
I know the answer, but
it's not. And if you go to the page in the National Archives, it's not, none of it's labeled.
No.
It's all just a bunch of numbers and, random PDF names, file names. So you have no idea what you're pulling up, what you're looking at. God help you if you don't keep track of the order that you've gone in when you're clicking on them, and then you get all screwed up because you might miss one. And so,
this is my nightmare last night.
This is why you didn't sleep last night.
This is why maybe 3 hours, something like that. But it's like you go to let's say page 1, just like Sarah said, there's like 10 PDFs.
Yeah.
You can click on one, but all the information from page 1 to
comes at the
100, whatever. It's just like putting a bunch of information to a shotgun and shooting it out, and it's scattered.
Scattershot. That's what I meant. Yeah.
That's why what's cool is, and a little secret, you can download all of those PDFs, put them all into Grok. It'll take it 10 at a time, and you can have it if you prompt it right. You can have it look for anything that's new. It can compare to the last, batches of files that have been released. It can pick out the most relevant stuff that's new, something that was never, seen before, and it can tell you what that means through the lens of, well, does this challenge the Oswald theory or the Warren Commission? It's really freaking cool.
Yeah. Well, so then I want to get into some of that with you, because I did look at them. That's how I knew, because I was like, I don't want to get off track of where I am because I can't find my way back.
Let's have Jason do it.
Yeah, basically. And I got way more sleep than 4 hours, so thanks, Jason. So I want to kind of go through some of the, I would say, maybe bombshells of this whole case, of all the JFK files. Now, some of the things that we know, some of the things that were released, we already knew, right? Yep. But let's at least go through some of this, and then Jason, I want you to weigh in on what you uncovered as well. So, according to an informant named Epstein, which, by the way, no relation, okay, just another Epstein. Lee Harvey Oswald had a KGB handler named Kostikov, who was a member of Department V. That was the Soviet assassination team known as Wet Affairs. Okay, so there's one tidbit to this whole entire case. Then they've got reference to Gary Underhill, an intel officer who said he had evidence that the CIA was implicated in the JFK assassination. And in this particular document, it says Gary Underhill left Washington in a hurry. He was very agitated. A small clique within the CIA was responsible for the assassination, he confided. And it mentions this 1967 journal entry or journal article about it. And then at the bottom, it says he died mysteriously 6 months later, and they called it a suicide. But he was shot from behind. So I'm having trouble understanding how that could be a suicide. He had been shot behind the left ear, and an automatic pistol was under his left side. Died May 8th, 1964. So you have that doesn't quite make sense there. But then you have another KGB reference here, KGB CIA liaison group Nikhanov's first assignment from Bakatin, am I saying that right, Jason?
Heck out of me.
Bakatin was making arrangements for the KGB-CIA liaison relationship, which has now come into being. A Russian source told the CIA that Oswald was a poor shot. You'd have to be quite the shot to make the one that killed the president from all of the, these angles. But okay, that's fine. All right. And while the KGB was tracking him in Russia, they were definitely not using him as an active measure to kill JFK. So the KGB said the KGB didn't have anything to do with it. They investigated themselves, and now they know that they didn't do it. So case closed, nothing to see here.
That's like big food and big pharma.
It is. It is. It is. We do that a lot here in this country, in the United States of America.
It's the same people who run a vaccine program.
Yes, we investigated the safety of this, of this, and we promise we are going to make millions off of this product. But we pinky promise it is the super duper Sara Gonzales Unfiltered pinky promise, so you know that you can trust it because they did do the super duper pinky promise. So nothing to see here. And then there's testimony of a Bulgarian informant whose name I can't pronounce. He told the State Department, and this was copied to the British Embassy and the Russian Embassy, that Oswald was going to kill the president. And this happened August 1963. That was just months before the actual assassination took place. Of course, November 22nd, 1963. So all of these warnings, and Jason, I want to hear about some of what you've uncovered as well. All of these warnings about this guy, Lee Harvey Oswald, went totally ignored for reasons I don't know. I would love to hear your thoughts, Jason, you as well, Jaco. And I guess it's apparently perfectly normal to all of the investigative agencies for an American citizen to just defect to the Soviet Union and get tracked by the KGB and the CIA for years and then return to Texas only to kill a United States president in Dallas. I don't know, kind of raises some red flags for me. What else did you uncover in your sleepless night?
So the majority...
give me all the details.
All the details.
I know you guys have this special on it next week.
Yeah.
I'm asking for an exclusive before the special.
Just call it as it is. He should not save it for Glenn. He should give it to Sarah.
I mean, he does do the show for free. He does. That is how he gets paid. Hey, Jason, I'll give you $5 if you.
I think Glenn gives him more than $5.
Well, that's more than I've gotten in the past 10 years doing this show. So. Things are looking up, baby.
Go ahead.
Just tell her you have a lot of juice. She may get to $15 by the end of the show.
There is a lot
negotiate up.
That's getting out there, and that's kind of. I will say that the majority of the stuff is not going against Warren Commission findings. So most of it is not saying, okay, it was the guy on the grassy knoll or anything like that. Nothing is really contradicting the Oswald narrative. What is interesting to me though is you get a picture painted right after the assassination. This is one point I'd like to make of absolute chaos. Oh, this actually, let's go back before that. Right after the Bay of Pigs, absolute chaos at the CIA. They don't really know what to do. They've been doing these active measures, but JFK is not really into the active measures anymore. So there's kind of this struggle, it appears to be, between the CIA and the executive office on how to proceed. And actually, that was there was a memo that was released in this document dump that JFK nerds were looking for. It was one of JFK's advisors. Can't remember his name at the moment, but he's making his case to Kennedy, saying we've got to completely revamp the CIA. Basically, it looks like it's out of control. That's real motive for a battle between the intelligence community and the president of the United States. But it's absolute chaos, and some of the things that are slipping through here in this dump is kind of how out of control the CIA was. And this is crucial. If we don't find a smoking gun that points to anybody else or anything maybe there was another shooter. If we don't find that, bare minimum, but this is huge, is how our intelligence community has been operating since its inception. Sarah, some of the things that I've uncovered on this is absolutely nuts. And it's just dropped out there. Oh yeah, and by the way, we were doing domestic covert operations on Americans. That included infiltrating.
Not what the CIA is for.
Kind of illegal, I think, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that. I mean, if anything else, that would be under the FBI, but not even really the FBI on some of these things. Surveillance on people inside the United States. Infiltration of U.S. companies. manipulation of media, and they actually name some of the media outlets in this. I think the Miami Herald was one of them. But then they also list a bunch of other contacts that this manipulator had and a bunch of other different media in the United States. This will blow your mind. The actual surveillance of a political candidate in an election. The actual surveillance. The CIA was monitoring, surveilling, maybe even wiretapping a presidential candidate. Okay, and this is what's so important. If you do not come full disclosure with all this stuff, and now we are, but if you don't, and these things get hidden, could this happen again in 2017?
I'd say so.
What the hell is Russiagate? This stuff just repeats and happens over and over and over and over again. You'll get the entire intelligence community. You'll get the FBI, the CIA. You'll get organizations like FISA that see no issue with this. Why? Because there's a past precedent for it.
Exactly.
All of this stuff is starting to come out.
It is a modus operandi. It is how they operate. And you will see it again and again and again. And I'm so glad you mentioned something, because the smoking guns, we don't even know what smoking guns to look for, right? Because you get into forensics, and there's different ways to look at forensics today. And I want to see forensically how this is being approached with the new data dump. And when you start looking at angles of impact, and you start looking at fragmentation and brain matter, and that's where I get really interested, less about memos going around. I don't know that we get the smoking gun, but what we absolutely have to uncover in this process is what you just nailed. The other data points that nobody is talking about, and I'm so glad you're going to talk about evidently in your special, is there's a lot to learn about the way the system is manipulated against Americans.
I will say, I agree with you completely. I will say that when you do get into more of the conspiratorial realms, and these are
I'm listening.
These are the things you have to speculate on. But so some of these documents go back to surveillance records of Oswald after he defected from the Soviet Union. So they had eyes on him well before the assassination. So they were tracking, and then you can read the documents that were just released that show him, like, passing through certain countries in Europe before coming to here. There was a CIA operative that was named, and I think his last name was Angleton, that was looking at Oswald from the moment he left the Soviet Union. Then you look at they talk about a massive hub of things going on in Mexico City. There was Cuban pro-Castro groups in Mexico City. There were KGB agents, all kind of operating around the Soviet embassy there in Mexico City. Then they happened to get photographs of this guy named Lee Harvey Oswald waltzing into Mexico City and going to the Soviet embassy there. Wait. So that there's crazy stuff going down with the communists and the Soviet Union in Mexico City. You've been surveilling this guy Oswald, who came through Europe, comes to the United States. He's shady. He goes to the embassy, and then suddenly, so it sounds like you had eyes on him the entire time. Except the time when he was at the 6th floor of the Texas Book Depository. Now, does that make any sense?
It reminds me of, July of last year, when there was a man who people within the FBI and the CIA and those agencies say this guy fits the bill, fits the profile of someone that they would have been in contact with and trained, who went up to a roof where inexplicably there were no Secret Service agents and no security, and tried to get a shot off.
Did you see the angle of that roof, Sarah?
Yeah.
It was very slopey.
Yeah.
It was very slopey. But it
happened to be the roof of the SWAT surveillance team.
Right. And I still am like, a lot of things are very unable to explain.
Pattern of historical behavior.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like, maybe they didn't, say, like, here's the gun, let's go do this, coordinate like that. Maybe they just stopped caring for a second, knowing he was up to something crazy.
Yep.
Jason,
maybe the same in Butler.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But from a
how could you?
Yeah, go.
It's either that or just such gross incompetence for this many decades. I mean, and then it's like, well, I do think the government is incompetent. So which is it?
Look, I'll say this, and I'm going to draw some wild correlation here, but
I like it.
getting Ponytail Susie to protect the president that's 5'4". Okay.
Melissa-
and
okay,
It was
yeah.
Melissa McCarthy. wasn't
Was it?
Yeah.
No, there was one that was.
No,
one that
Ponytail
was
Susie
shorter
was a
than-
little shorter than Melissa McCarthy. So Ponytail Susie, that's protecting the president, that's 6'3.5", who happens to be on duty that day, kind of feels like, hey, Mr. President, today we're going to change your route to Love Field, and today we're going to put the top down, because that was not the norm. The top wasn't down. I mean, that wasn't the right route. And it's like, it's coordinated and correlated. But from a conspiratorial standpoint, I could also argue to say that you need a fall guy. And you would set up Oswald and travel Oswald and let him be the guy. And is he the shooter or is he the fall guy? You know, and for him to believe I'm the guy doesn't mean he doesn't get a shot off. Doesn't mean there's not another shooter or two shooters.
Yeah.
And this is where I think I want to get back to, you know, when you go to the grassy knoll, for those of you who've never been there, if you go there today and it's not raining, there's a guy sitting there with a megaphone and he's got a little TV screen and he plays footage of the day on the actual spot with the 2 X's. And there's so much opinion out there about this, but I still would like to, from a forensic standpoint, just look and analyze and see an analysis on angle of impact. Could it have come from that building? Was that the angle? Was there a different shooter? And I don't know that you find him. So I think that's finding a needle in a haystack. I'm more interested in what you nailed is we have to see a change in the system.
Yeah.
We have to see the patterns of behavior historically.
Or it's going to continue.
Or it's going to continue.
Yeah.
And it has. In our day and time, Butler. And
Exactly right.
and more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Russia
right.
Gate, et cetera, et cetera.
I will say that, I mean, if it's just incompetence, like what you were talking
Sure.
about before, and I mean, I can see why the CIA has kept this batch of docs from getting out, because that's what happened the last time. When I think that happened under Trump and it happened under Biden. The CIA petition specifically wrote a letter to the Office of the Executive and said, "Don't release this." I can't say, and they said because operational reasons, you know, and methods and sourcing. It was 1963.
Yeah.
For crying out loud.
Right.
Like, we don't buy that anymore. That's old and irrelevant. We don't buy that. But I think it does show that, A, they were very incompetent in certain ways. They were surveilling this assassin since he came back to the United States and when he traveled to foreign countries and was in contact with our main geopolitical rival at the time. Yeah. And then suddenly we lost him. Okay. You either let him go on purpose or you're just incompetent. And then B, everything that establishes their pattern of behavior, all their dirty secrets, how they surveil Americans, how they manipulate U.S. media, wiretaps, all these different things. That is their face. That is what they stand for.
If they're
And it's
part of
still
the,
what they
if they're
stand for.
part of the assassination, there's factions within that could be surveying him, and then there's authority over them that could say, lose the tail. You're not tracking him today. You're not tracking him tomorrow. You know, I believe 100% it was an inside job.
Yeah.
I believe Butler was an inside job.
I do too.
That's me, for me. And
do
I have
too.
my opinion. That's my opinion, okay? I believe that's an inside job because I have spoken to so many snipers with the bold ask. Sean Ryan asked him, can you get a shot off at a sitting U.S. president in 2024? And the answer is absolutely not, unless you're allowed to get close enough.
Yeah, with both of these cases, there's just too many strange coincidences for me, right? There's just too many. I mean, all of it, it's like, okay, just like what you were saying, Jason, it's like, okay, you guys had him, you knew where he was, you're documenting all of his whereabouts and information about him, and then oopsies, you lose him on the day that he goes to assassinate a president. Like, I just have a hard time buying that. I do want to ask you too, Jason, what? You were about to say something.
Well, go ahead now.
Well, okay, so I want to ask you how much, if any, you've seen on LBJ, because I know that that's obviously one of the
That's what I want to see.
biggest theories is like that LBJ was the one that was behind it all.
Yeah, nothing on LBJ. And,
Interesting.
And Roger Stone was pretty big on it. He wrote
a book. Yeah.
On that famous tape. In fact, next week we're going to have the family member that has that tape in studio.
I love that.
Which is going to be very, very cool.
Yeah.
With the actual recording.
Yeah.
But yeah, it straight up says, like, the head of the DNC at the time says he had JFK, Lyndon B. Johnson, he had Kennedy killed.
He did it. Right. It was him. It was a coup.
Why would he say that? I mean,
Right.
You're never going to find that. I don't care how transparent a government is. Yeah. It's not going to show up in a public document.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's never going to happen. But can I say what I was
Sure.
going to say? Just the fact of, like, you picture this time frame and you talk about, like, someone saying ditch the tail. This is a time when, it was the Red Scare.
Yes.
You were having people, like, it was crazy. They were just picking people out, and it was almost like a witch hunt. Like, there's the witch, there's the communist. In that time, when you have a guy that comes from the Soviet Union, and he goes and has a meeting in Mexico with KGB people, allegedly, I'm assuming that's who he was meeting with inside the embassy, and then he comes back, there would be a tail on him immediately.
Right?
Yep.
He would never not be tailed.
Yep.
That building,
24/7 surveillance.
building is 55 yards. If that, from the shot. He was so close, he could almost jump on the vehicle if he jumped out the window. I mean, it is literally right there.
But they just lose him?
Yeah.
They just stop?
I'm not buying that.
And at the same time, they're surveilling a political candidate for president? But not this guy.
Which I
Let him
assume
go.
we'll find more out about that next week.
Yeah, that'll effing piss you off.
We'll watch Glenn's show.
I'll watch.
We'll watch Glenn's show.
watch.
We'll support them.
So one more quick note on this before we got to go to break here. Jason's favorite Congresswoman, Representative Ana Paulina Luna, who is heading up this commission for all of the declassification of all of these, secrets that they've held from us. JFK, MLK Jr. There's another one that escapes me. But she said the
I
file.
lost my train of thought at Ana Paulina Luna.
She said the file I'm particularly interested in is a CIA IG report from whistleblowers alleging that the CIA hid information from Congress on the JFK assassination as it implicated them shortly after the assassination. We were given this as a tip, and there's actually a document we are currently tracking down. So stay tuned, Jason. If you're still with us, I can't tell. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We will be back with more. First, I want to thank our sponsor this segment, Patriot Mobile. So Patriot Mobile, Jaco works very closely with Patriot Mobile as well. Glenn and Jenny Story are two of the most amazing people I've ever met in my entire life and two of the greatest patriots you could ever know. And what they're doing over at Patriot Mobile has been so instrumental for the conservative movement because everything we do is like, we have to give money to a company that actually hates us and is fighting against our values. But we're like, we don't have another choice. I have to have a phone, so I have to give these big mobile companies money. That's not true because Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And they're going to give you a way to vote with your wallet without compromising on quality or convenience because they have the same nationwide coverage that you are currently using right now, okay? It's all the same coverage, it's all the same towers, but they're going to make sure that not only are you getting that outstanding nationwide coverage, you also are funding your own causes that you believe in if you're watching this program. And so they're taking a portion of that money and they are donating it to causes that you stand with. They believe in the Constitution. They're patriots just like you guys. And honestly, go check out their website because they're probably going to save you money at the same time. So that's easy, right? Go to patriotmobile.com/Sarah. You will get a free month of service with promo code Sarah. That is patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Yesterday, we talked about these rogue judges that are just popping up and trying to prevent President Trump from implementing his agenda. They're like, no, you are not actually the top executive officer of this country. We are, apparently. And it's like every day there's another story about a rogue judge activist that comes out. This one today is Trump nemesis Tanya Chutkan, who is now intervening to keep the Democrats' green slush fund alive with all of this environmentalism. It's for the climate. You guys recognize her? Yeah, you might recall she is the D.C. judge who rejected President Trump's presidential immunity in the January 6th case. And she was also very, very harsh to a lot of other J6ers. So you had SCOTUS, of course, that shot down her, trying to get President Trump on that one. And now you have this woman, this activist judge. Well, you could say she's an activist just cosplaying as a judge, okay? And she's trying to halt EPA chief Lee Zeldin from shutting down the Biden billion-dollar pipeline to environmental extremist groups because she has ordered President Trump to let Citibank keep all of this gravy train going. And this taxpayer money, your money, Jason, your money, Jaco, my money, all of your money out there, viewers, this taxpayer money is going to activist groups like Power Forward, which is connected to election denier Stacey Abrams, and the corrupt Climate United Fund. Like, this is over 20 billion of our dollars that Lee Zeldin is trying to get back. And I want to play a little bit of Zeldin talking about this, he calls it a gold bar scheme back in February. Watch.
An extremely disturbing video circulated 2 months ago featuring a Biden EPA political appointee talking about how they were tossing gold bars off the Titanic, rushing to get billions of your tax dollars out the door before Inauguration Day. The gold bars were tax dollars, and tossing them off the Titanic meant the Biden administration knew they were wasting it. Following this revelation, during my meetings with members of Congress, I made a very important commitment to them and to the American people, which I reiterated at my confirmation hearing that if confirmed, I would immediately get a full accounting. Fortunately, my awesome team at EPA has found the gold bars. Shockingly, roughly 20 billion of your tax dollars were parked at an outside financial institution by the Biden EPA.
Guys, it is shocking to me. It's not shocking to me that these Democrat activists who are in disguise, whether they're a judge or they're, Chuck Schumer or, whoever, it doesn't shock me that they hate the fact that we have an administration that is trying to root out a bunch of corruption and fraud and waste. But what is shocking to me is that they are so forthright about it. They are so in your face about it. They think that this is going to go over well with the American people, that they are trying to prevent President Trump, who won in a mandate. They are trying to prevent the president who won in an overwhelming mandate from doing the things that he said he was going to do. It's unbelievable. It's every day a new story like this comes out. You had the judge yesterday who blocked him from banning trans in the military. I mean, every single thing that is supposed to be either his responsibility, Lee Zeldin's responsibility, all of these departments' responsibility, they are preventing, they're hamstringing this administration from doing what they said that they were going to do. And they're just so bold about it. It is shocking to me. Maybe it shouldn't be, but it is.
I don't know exactly how to fix it, but we have a real issue right now with tyranny in the judicial system. What's crazy about this debate is both sides can see there's an issue. The left, when they were in power, were all pissed at the judicial system, specifically the Supreme Court. Their solution to get what they wanted was to empower it even more. Let's pack judges into it. Let's make it it's already powerful because they see the power that it's wielding right now because it's out of balance. So they're like, well, let's just power on the power and put a ton of judges on there. Now, from a conservative point of view, we see what's happening right now, and we also see an issue with it. There is a tyranny from there's black robe tyranny going on right now because you have these same judges. It was the same judge that knocked down U.S. aid, and then the day before he was knocking down Venezuela, sending shipments out of these people, the criminals, back to Venezuela.
He's like, no, we want the gangs here. Leave them here. We want the criminals to stay.
He was the same guy that was blocking travel bans back in 2017. It's the same ones every single time. Now, are you actually interpreting the Constitution of the United States of America, or are you just being an activist to whatever side you're on? That's what we have right now. Yep. So right now, I really don't know how to fix it because there is an issue there, but we have to scale back the power. At least it would be great if we had a Chief Justice that wouldn't come out and say what he said yesterday and basically do your damn job. I cannot believe out of all of the crap the Biden administration did and said to the Supreme Court, they didn't say a damn word. Nothing. But he comes out and makes this public statement, which, if you know, like, Supreme Court justices are not supposed to say a damn word. Like, that's how they overemphasize it. You'll see the State of the Union. They make a big show out of, they don't crack a smile. They don't have a frown. They don't clap. They just sit there like this. But John Roberts, the guy that rewrote laws for Obama, comes out and makes this public statement.
Made backroom deals with the Democrats. Is what you're talking about.
Is what
in
I'm
the
talking
Obamacare case.
We have a serious issue here. I really don't know what they can do about it.
I know.
And this is what I'm going to be this is the Eric Church song, Broke Record. I'm going to be a broke record right now and just go back to what you said in the beginning. I don't see any difference in the conspiracy in allowing a KGB agent to kill a president and conspiring to do it, or planting agents in the court. I look at it the same. There's agents of change in the wrong direction that our country was not founded upon, and it's rooted in the judicial system. It's in the intelligence community. It's in, and has been historically in the intelligence community. It's embedded in our culture, and you're seeing it. And now, rainy day fund, set it aside, $20 billion to keep them alive. Swinging again 4 years down the line, the judges will cover us. Siphon it off, gold bars over the edge of the boat, go stash it over there, and if they find it, the judges we have in play, like the district attorneys they have in play, will cover us. And they'll fight the American people from the bench, where justice is supposed to be blind. It's stacked. It's not blind. Just go talk to American people in family court. And ask them. And they'll tell you, this system is not for justice or for the people. And these are agents of evil in our court system all the way to the top.
Well, and I like that you call them agents of change, because they are, and they seem to always be 20 steps ahead of us in any industry, organization, government agency, what have you. They have always embedded and planted themselves in, and are always 20 steps ahead of us. You see it in the same thing in the Department of Education with, all of these, the teachers unions, all of these little communists who decided to take over education, and they're breeding a bunch of little Marxists now out of public schools. And so, I mean, you see this every step of the way. And while I appreciate, Representative Brandon Gill, shout out, we talked about him yesterday. He is my congressman. I'm going to be with him tomorrow at something. And I love what he's doing. I love that he's coming in here and just really trying to shake as much up as he can. So he's one of the ones who introduced articles of impeachment on this judge, but we're not going to get impeachment.
No, but
it's a hurdle too far. We're not going to get the votes. So what do we do? Yeah. Well, one sec. What do we do? To Jason's point, Ron DeSantis pointed out Congress has the authority to strip jurisdiction of the federal courts to decide these cases in the first place.
Okay, exactly. Now that should be the answer, Congress.
That's what I'm saying. So do something.
That's what
Article 3. Article 3, Congress can do it.
Do something. Why else are we electing you guys? This was a mandate overwhelmingly that we gave you guys the driver's seat. You are in. Yeah. You are in the driver's seat. Do something.
Right.
I don't have confidence that they will. Mike Johnson. Oh, Mike Johnson's going to lead the way. I don't have confidence in that.
That's a huge issue right now in this country. And while we have problems with an overflexed judiciary, like one branch of government can grow when the other branch refuses to do their job. Yep. Usually they're willing to let the executive do the job
checks
for
and
them.
Balances, and when there's no check and there's no balance, one department's going to grow, and they have.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It shouldn't get to the judiciary every single time in these. That should be like, when you're a parent and you're like, don't make me get involved.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys handle your business. If I have to get involved,
everyone's going to hate it.
Yeah, right. Everyone's going to feel the pain.
Yeah.
Like, judiciary should be the very last, like, oh my gosh, we don't know what to do about this.
Right.
That's not how it works now.
Nope.
Now it's like the president can't even do his job because immediately there's a random radical activist judge who's like, That's not how it's supposed to work.
No,
Trump, it was a tweet. I think it was an X. I think it was that. Maybe it was Truth. I don't know. And I am paraphrasing here, but it was shocking to me that and his demeanor on this post was so poised, where the president wrote, basically, he said, when a judge overrules the highest office in the land, you saw it, right? And I'm paraphrasing, we are in trouble. And I'm paraphrasing. This is coming from the President of the United States.
President.
Okay?
The highest in command, guys.
So where does an American citizen go?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So Brandon Gill made promises in kitchens of houses that we helped him, and he's delivering on what he said he would do.
1,000%.
1,000%. And for
But
that,
an impeachment, yes.
I know, but
no, I
he's
appreciate
doing all
it.
he can.
He is doing
But
what he
we're
can.
asking Congress, do all you can.
Yes.
They're
yes.
not.
Right. Because an impeachment obviously needs 60. Right.
Yeah.
But the other.
Here's a rep from Texas.
Right.
That does everything he can, and we have the House and the Senate.
And he's a freshman, by the way. Where the hell
he's-
else are the rest of you?
He's a baby. He's as green as can be, and he is swinging for the fences. And so the rest are spineless cowards that play for themselves, that think of their own political careers, and how do they not rock the boat so they can stay in versus doing what they were elected to do for the people.
Yeah, they just want to stay under the cover of President Trump signing executive orders rather than codifying it. Now's the time, guys. Codify it now. Otherwise, all the progress that we make is just wiped away with the swipe of a pen, the same way that he did it to Joe Biden. So now's the time.
is not a law.
No,
It's
right.
not a law.
Right. All right, we've got to take another quick break. We will be back with more. First, I want to thank, I love this sponsor, Republican Red. So this is, of course, I do always feel judged when I'm with Jaco.
Don't judge you.
I know you don't. But if you drink wine, you would love this because it's very, very delicious wine. And drink responsibly. Okay. Was that good?
Yes.
Drink responsibly. Do not get drunk on the wine. Enjoy it with a nice cut of meat. Okay. So the great thing about Republican Red, which by the way has white wine as well, has sparkling wine as well. They don't just have red wine, but the great thing about it is their bottles are amazing. They are truly, they're conservatives. They're some of us. So let me just read you some of their wine names and I'll let you decide. 4547 Pinot Noir. Golden Age sparkling wine. Of course, they are America's winery. All of this is 100% American-made wines, and they're patriots just like you. So go support them, RepublicanRed.com. They're a generational family-run business. You can use promo code Sarah for an exclusive discount over at RepublicanRed.com. Drink responsibly, but also stock up. Okay, RepublicanRed.com, promo code Sarah. So with the left, it's not just the infiltration of their little activists within the federal government and our institutions. It's also how dangerous the American left has become under President Trump's second presidency, especially with regard to Elon Musk. And I want to play a clip of Jimmy Kimmel from his show last night. Watch.
Vandalizing Tesla vehicles, new Tesla vehicles. Please don't vandalize. Don't ever vandalize Tesla vehicles. And so,
oh, wait, that wasn't funny. So you have all of these radical environmentalists that like 5 seconds ago were like, Elon Musk is our god because he provides us with cool electric cars. The other ones are really lame. These are actually cool to drive. And now they're literally torching them. It's insane. You got these Democrats, they hate Doge. They can't stand that all of these taxpayer scams, these money laundering operations are getting shut down. And Elon Musk is now the guy who's heading that up. And so they feel like they have to hate him. And I just want to read, let's go through some of this. Rick Wilson of the Lincoln Project, who, there are some questions about those men and young boys, I'll just say. He wrote the Substack saying, kill Tesla, save the country. Elon has a weak spot, attack. Oh, those leftists are just so charming. Yes, I am calling Rick Wilson a leftist. Then you have John Cusack, actor John Cusack, who posted a cartoon of the Statue of Liberty lighting Teslas on fire. And he's like repeatedly been sharing posts that imply that Elon is a Nazi because he's trying to save your tax money, remember? And then you have journalist Andy Ngo. He found training materials on how to carry out this Tesla-burning terrorist operation, including a pro tip not to use Molotov cocktails as well. You've got an anti-capitalist group that spread the word on how to pull off this sabotage. And perhaps the most disturbing of all, this group that has now doxed Tesla owners. So they put up a map of where these Tesla owners allegedly live as if they're supposed to what? Like, they don't personally know Elon. I'm sure they're just like, oh, cool, an electric car that I like, I'll buy it. And now they're getting, dragged through the mud. Now their lives are put at risk. This is total terrorism. And it just is like, okay, that's what the left has become. They are the party of violence now.
Now?
Well, they are the party of violence. But I mean, you have these people, you have Tim Walz that came out and said, you know, we should somehow destroy Tesla as a company. And it's like, dude, this is an American company that gives jobs to thousands upon thousands of people. Why would that be good for your country? It wouldn't be, but they don't care about what's good for the country.
They
don't care.
Burn it to the ground.
They will burn it to the ground because they didn't get their way.
Ground because they don't love this place. They don't love this country, and you will never defend what you do not love. They do not love America. They love themselves.
Right.
They're little gods. They're deities. They've self-deified themselves. You neophyte deities, you will burn in a hellfire. You want to talk global warming? You're going to burn in a hellfire. It's going to get hot, baby. Really hot. I'm so sick of this. You know, here we are under a Trump administration. Where's the FBI? This is what you should be doing. They're talking about torch Tesla. Spreading words on how to set buildings on fire. By the way, there's dealerships. People own businesses.
Right. It's like
Elon doesn't own every dealership. There's people put their livelihoods in it. The
manager of the car lot is like, I didn't do anything. Why are you ruining my cars?
Doxing people, putting their addresses online, saying, here's a Tesla owner, go to what are they insinuating? What is Jimmy doing, by the way? Don't torch Teslas. No, he's telling him to torch Teslas.
Right, of course.
Okay, so all of a sudden, okay, why don't we descend upon... It's hate speech. To your point, they're communist. They burnt this place to the ground in BLM. Mm-hmm. That was them. Mm-hmm. They did this, right? They had students yell, "We are Hamas" on our college campuses. That's them. They brought Jew hatred back to this country. That's them. And now they're going after a guy, weak spot. I want to see what the Department of Justice does now. I want examples. If you think of J6, people that just casually show up in a city to watch a president, people that just walk into a building that the people own, by the way, what are you going to do to people that set property on fire?
Yeah, which Pam Bondi says that they are going after all of these people. I hope that they do. For Rick Wilson, anyway, he apparently got a 30-day timeout from X for inciting terrorism. You don't want to mess with Elon on there.
What makes this even all the more retarded is it's blind tribalism to something that they don't even know what they're burning Teslas for or doing all this.
Because Orange Man bad.
Yeah. Basically because Orange Man bad. Because Doge, I love Doge. It's not an original idea. You know who originally did Doge? Barack Obama. Barack Obama, his administration was the one that first said, hey, let's do a Department of Government Efficiency. I don't think they called it that. It was a very similar acronym. But they said the exact same things. In fact, there's a hilarious video of Obama trying to sell this where he's like, you know how inefficient our government is? That's why I'm putting Joe Biden in control. Nobody messes with Joe. He actually says that. To help scale back and all this wasteful spending. And then he goes through a bunch of stuff on the waste, like subsidizing a folk rock band or something. It's the exact same stuff that's happening now that we're pulling out from USAID, saying, I can't believe we're subsidizing this, this, and this. Exactly the same.
That you have to wonder how much of it originated under Barack Obama.
Yeah, right.
Like what we're funding now. They're like,
the spending.
Can you believe we were funding this folk song? We should be funding the trans shows in Peru instead. Yeah. And you're like,
condoms to the Muslims. So whatever.
Yeah.
Well, originally he was anti-LGBTQ until he was like, they figured out through some study focus group that, this would actually be beneficial for us. They don't even believe it.
President Trump was the first president who was pro-LGBT marriage. Or I guess just gay marriage.
Like consistently.
Right. Which by the way, I'm not saying I like necessarily agree with. It's just funny because if there were anyone that the left should be like, okay, we can deal with it, right? Like, well, all right, he has an R next to his name, but you know, he likes the gays and he's a good businessman. He was in all these rap songs. He's a cultural icon. He's trying to save us tax money. All right, fine, we'll deal with it. And they just can't handle it. It's insane. All right. Go ahead, real quick.
The reason I said like they've always been the party of violence. This exactly sounds like a rebirth of like the Bill Ayers, Bernadine Dohrn, Weather Underground.
You're right.
It's cyclic. It's coming back around. And if that's true, you haven't seen nothing yet. They're about to get really cray-cray.
You're right. So get ready, Pam Bondi. All right, we've got to take another quick break, but we want to thank our sponsor this segment, First Liberty Institute. So, they always say like it takes a village to raise a child. But listen, when it comes to raising our kids, parents like us, we're facing unprecedented challenges to our authority at every single turn. All of these little leftists, like I said, are gaining, access to all of these institutions, and all these professionals are no longer allies in raising our children. So I'm not here to tell you how to parent, but I do want to remind you of your God-given rights to direct your child's healthcare, education, and spiritual development. And since the Constitution protects those God-given rights, I am partnering with the experts over at First Liberty. They are America's largest law firm, exclusively protecting religious freedom and your first call when faith comes under attack. So if you're interested in learning more about your right to raise your children according to your beliefs and not the government's, go to firstliberty.org/Sarah, where you can also learn what First Liberty is doing right now to protect the rights of us, parents, for generations to come. That is firstliberty.org/Sarah. So I guess Alec Baldwin and his wife, Hilaria, have a show coming out, and they were on the red carpet recently, and I could not believe this video is going viral for just how embarrassing this is for Alec Baldwin to get cooked by his wife, basically. Watch.
Hilaria show.
No, I think we're gonna see. We're gonna see how it feels to have it be out there.
It's gonna be great. You're a winner.
Oh my God! When I'm talking, you're not talking.
Sorry.
No, when I'm talking, you're not talking. This is why. Yes, we'll have to just cut him out of the show. No,
Look at his face. Look at his face.
I mean, I think this is a really
He is so dead
raw
on the inside.
show, and it's very real, and we took a lot of chances.
Just walks away.
And I think that we'll see where it leads us. We'll see what it feels like to have to be out there, and then we'll see, if people like it.
Control room. I want to get a freeze frame of his face when she's telling him that. He just looks so dead inside. She must talk like that to him all the time.
That fake voice.
I know.
That voice is fake. Everything's fake.
When I'm talking, you're not talking. When I'm talking, you're not talking. When I'm talking, you're not talking. Remember, because she got rooted out. Look at him. He's like, dear God, I have to go home with this.
This is
like I hate Alec Baldwin, and I actually feel kind of sorry for him.
Every guy on planet Earth sees that and go, dude, I'm sorry for you. I feel sorry for the moment.
That's what I'm like. You do kind of feel bad for him.
For that moment. Now people will go, well, hey, what happened to the movie set? I get it. But there's a whole lot of women like that out there.
I'm adding this to my little presentation from every month. I give my son the same heart-to-heart, man-to-man conversation. And number one on the agenda is never marry a liberal woman.
Yep.
If you have kids in the room, turn it up. Never marry a liberal woman, boys. And play this clip as one of the
examples. Keep it real.
Yeah, right, because she, they're like, actually, she doesn't have an accent. She just turns it on for the cameras. Yeah, they found that out. So
she contributes nothing. That is an oxygen thief.
Yeah. I can't imagine anyone who watches that and you're like, I can't wait to watch their show.
Well,
they might have all of 5 people watching. So, but again, Alec, I'm sorry about your wife.